What is going on, everybody? It is time for episode 8 of the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the weekly show that we do every week on the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. It's a weird concept, but we do it on a weekly basis. But we're not as weird as the concept, though. I mean, Casey is. But, like, I feel like Casey was supposed to host this show, and I think he decided to chicken out on me. So I'll do the honors. It'll be my pleasure. We also didn't talk about who was hosting what thing um, this week as well before we started. So I think we're gonna stick with the order that we have been doing for the past 2 weeks, and I will start with the news and rumors.
Well, if we're doing what we did the last 2 weeks, I'd do the news and rumors. But no, you pay attention to things that we did 3 weeks ago. That's cool, bro.
Well, on my notes it says DJ news and rumors, so I'm going with my notes. We got Jeff Hardy having shoulder surgery. Obviously, I don't know when exactly this happened right offhand, but I know Jeff Hardy was injured. They talked about it on Monday Night Raw this week. That Jeff Hardy he may be injured, but Matt Hardy is still available and everything. So I'm kind of wondering
Dude,
how long it's gonna keep him out, I guess.
they showed the recap and said it was during the six-pack challenge.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't watch all of Raw. I watch what I want to watch, and that's about it.
So you're not a real fan.
Bro, you don't even watch all of Raw. I don't even think you finished Raw. Speaking of,
I mean, I did actually.
did you watch SmackDown? Okay, you're not a real fan. Just saying. Anyway, Casey, any thoughts on Jeff Hardy's? I was about to say it was about to be something other than Hardy. Jeff Hardy's shoulder surgery.
I mean, it sucks. It was a kind of a freak accident where it was during the big superplex spot that they did in the six-pack challenge. And he kind of came down on his shoulder hard. But I mean, it sucks that he's gonna have to have surgery and he's gonna be out for a while. But it's I feel like it's not that big of a deal because, well, for him it is obviously because he's not gonna be able to wrestle for a while. But as for this run for the Hardy Boys,
For Casey as a fan, it doesn't matter because he doesn't care about Jeff Hardy.
I love Jeff Hardy. He was my hero when I was a kid. But as for their run this time, it's more focused on Matt since the whole broken Matt thing. It's been about Matt more so than Jeff like it used to be. So, I mean, they're obviously focusing more on Matt. I think this could help them in the long run with, I mean, eventually they're going to break up anyway and do singles things. Yeah, I'd like that you finally change that.
You didn't even notice it until I changed it.
This man don't know how to do nothing. But I mean, anytime anyone's injured and has to have time off, it kind of sucks. But hopefully it won't be too long, and hopefully his shoulder isn't that bad. But yeah.
So speaking of overreactions, the Tower of Doom spot should never be allowed again. It should be outlawed in wrestling forever. That's not an overreaction Friday, but it potentially may be, or an overreaction Sunday, I guess we could say for today. But anyway, Randy Orton says he is sick of being the babyface. He's tired of it. He's tired of the role. He's been doing it for a while. Doesn't want to do it anymore. I guess my issue, Randy, with the I like the idea. And I get it, been doing this for a while, and it's kind of gets old after a while. What the heck are they gonna do with you? Because we saw you as a heel, and it's the same thing. Like you gonna have to do something different if you want to be a heel again. Because I mean, the babyface thing is boring. Don't you dare get me wrong. And I love Randy Orton. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of like all time. He's probably like in my top 5 to be honest. But still, probably like second, to be honest, in my top five. If I'm gonna be honest about things right now, yeah, probably second. But still, like, what's up with that? Like I know you tired of being a baby face, but like, what you gonna do that's different? That's gonna make me be like, yeah, you know what? I like that. But Casey, thoughts on Randy Orton being sick of being a babyface?
I mean, he probably realizes, like everyone else, that he's better as a heel anyway. But like you said, what are they going to do with him? Like, I think one of the reasons that Randy Orton never was really, I was never a huge fan of him, is because he is more so a heel, but he's always the same heel. Like, he's not like a Chris Jericho where he evolves and changes. It's pretty much been the same all the time. I mean, little things change. Like, he started doing the punt for a while until he couldn't do that. He's evolved a little bit, but not enough to where it feels fresh and new. It always just kind of feels like the same heel Randy Orton. But I mean, if you realize that you're better as a heel and you're tired of being a babyface, I respect that. But what are they going to do with you? There's only so many, people that they can put you in a feud with. And we don't want to see Randy Orton, John Cena 374. We just don't want to see that. So, I mean, I don't know.
Are we sure?
Yeah, we're sure.
Are we sure though? But anyway, moving on to our next news and rumor, which is an Olympic gold medalist is training at the WWE Performance Center. And no, it's not the particular gold medalist that you're thinking of in Kurt Angle. That's the first thing I
Michael
thought
Phelps.
of.
It's Michael Phelps.
Yeah,
No, wait.
it's not Maggle. It's not Maggle Phelps. Because I'm being honest, the first person I thought of was Kurt Angle for real though. Like I was like, Kurt coming back, baby. He coming back, baby. But it is Erica Webby. Going with it. Don't at me. Unless you're Erica Webby, then you can at me. Cause you're kind of cute. And I mean, but two, like you can at me so I can figure out what your name is. Cause for real, like I don't know it. But I apologize because apparently she is a professional wrestler from Canada, so that's pretty cool. So I'm curious to see what she's gonna do. I'm trying to see what exactly if my computer would actually work for once. The 75K freestyle. She's the Olympic champion in that, so that's pretty cool. So I'm kind of curious to see what she does if they keep her around for long enough, because you never know if WWE they don't always keep you around long enough for you to even attempt to hit the ring. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting story. I would love to see it. And I mean, let's be honest, they might make her Kurt Angle's daughter, Casey. I tried not to make that joke, but man.
Oh God. I definitely I think it's cool. And it's not the typical gold medalist you would think of because she's from Canada, so it's not like America, yeah. No, she's from Canada. But yeah, I definitely, I always am interested to see who they bring in. And she has the, amateur background anyway, so she kind of has an idea what she's doing. Obviously, she has to learn professional wrestling, but she has that, solid amateur background, which works well for a lot of people like Jason Jordan, Kurt Angle's son.
His biological son.
So, and if they do it right, the women's division is blowing up right now. So, hopefully they do keep her, and hopefully we see her soon.
Alrighty. Moving on to our fourth news and rumor of episode 8. which is Charlotte is expressing her desire. This is in an interview, by the way. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. It's just something that will be, I guess, is kind of a topic of discussion. Discussing her desire, Charlotte discussing her desire for Paul Heyman to be a manager of hers. Cool. Like we've said before, we don't see managers as often anymore, unfortunately. It's definitely something that I think we all as wrestling fans want to see more of because that was that made for some of the biggest feuds. You know, in his passing, we talked about Bobby the Brain Heenan and kind of him being in so many different things all at the same time. Just by being a manager, you always used to see like Jimmy Hart and all these different managers, especially in like the 80s and the early 90s, where like they would be in three or four different feuds with different wrestlers just because they were the manager of that, of those three wrestlers. So definitely, I would like to see Charlotte have a manager. It doesn't necessarily have to be Paul Heyman, but I feel like we might be getting to the point where there is a like Paul Heyman girl, right? A Paul Heyman woman. I feel like girl sounds better, even though anyway. But I don't know. Like I feel like we're at that point with WWE. Because they always talk about who's a Paul Heyman guy. Well, could Charlotte be a Paul Heyman girl per se? Um, and just overall, like we said before, but that's something we really want is managers in wrestling again. We don't see enough of them, and when we do, it's kind of like for a really short period of time. There's no managers that are kind of just managers. But Casey, thoughts on Charlotte expressing her interest for Paul Heyman to be her manager?
It's not gonna happen. I mean, nothing against Charlotte personally, but really, how many people have they actually stuck Paul Heyman with, other than Brock Lesnar and CM Punk? He's had other people, but like it's been sporadic and really short. The only people they really stick with him are Brock Lesnar and CM Punk when he was there. I just don't see them putting Charlotte with him. And plus, other than like Paul Ellering, they're still really not doing much with managers as much as we want them to. They're just not. And I don't know if Charlotte really. I know she probably might want one and might want Paul Heyman to be her manager, but I don't know that she really needs a manager. There's a lot of other people who need managers more, just for either a mouthpiece or a hype person, whatever. I don't necessarily think she needs.
Would you say a hype bro? Sorry.
Uh, it. I mean, she's the daughter of Ric Flair. I think that's all she really needs herself, and then to show the talent that she has. So I mean, I just don't think it'll happen.
All right, our last news and rumor: What Culture Pro Wrestling is relaunching as Defiant Wrestling. No, Defiant Wrestling. See, now to me, this doesn't make sense because I guess Defiant Wrestling is a little bit less generic to a certain degree. Um, but still, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it made more sense for the guys who left, Adam and the two Adams and Jack and who was it, Sam, if I'm not mistaken, to like rebrand What Culture Pro Wrestling as Defiant Wrestling since it was their thing, their idea, their brainchild. But for What Culture, the company, to pull their company name out of it, I think is kind of dumb, in my opinion. Just because at least at at worst, you know, I might not watch What Culture Pro Wrestling, but you'll know what culture is, and you'll know that company name. So I don't know. That's just my opinion on that. Casey, thoughts on the rebranding of What Culture Pro Wrestling to Defiant Wrestling? Besides the irony in them rebranding and always complaining about TNA rebranding.
Um, I mean, I don't. In the long run, I don't think it's a huge deal. You know, they're not huge, but they're big enough. They've had big stars in What Culture Pro Wrestling, so people know who they are by now. Whether you like them or hate them, you know who they are. So if they change their name, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But I don't understand why. Like that, I didn't really read into it much, so I don't know the real reason. But for me, like if you don't need to rebrand, you shouldn't just because it doesn't make sense. So I'll have to look into it more. But I mean, I don't know. What Culture Pro Wrestling was kind of a weird name anyway. But I feel like Defiant Wrestling is even more generic in a way. Like I, I don't know.
Alrighty, well, let's jump into the second segment. But before we do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button for us. Give us a like, share the video before we jump into the second segment, which is our top 5 botches and funny moments. I don't remember who does this, so I'm gonna give it to Casey and act like he does.
Okay, okay. We got the top 5 botches slash the funny haha hoo hoo hee hee moments. Like that old guy. He like that. He, oh, ha, ha, ha. You know, he probably fell, broke his back, you know, but he's still laughing. He broke a hip, can't get up. You know, his grandkids ain't there to help him, but you know, he's still laughing. That got real
Right.
dark. I'm sorry. Um, our first botch, and this one is a botch. At least I thought so. The Finn Balor Goldust segment and match. I just first of all, I want them to finally push Finn Balor back to the main event. You know, he had to drop the Universal title without before he was even able to defend it because of his shoulder injury. And since he came back, I don't think he's had one opportunity at the title. And he's been back for a while. They need to finally push him to that main event picture. Not you don't necessarily have to give him the title right away, but push him back there. Make him relevant in the title picture again. Um, and then to have him face Goldust again, not Dustin Rhodes like we wanted, but Goldust. I just didn't like it. DJ?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Finn is kind of, and I apologize, Goldust, but above Goldust. Um, and he should be in the main event picture. I think the one thing I did like was Goldust kind of turning heel, uh, or returning heel. Cause cause I just thought about it. And I'm like, well, he just turned heel against R-Truth, and then he kind of did it again. I don't know, but I mean, I did like that though. I think we've gotten away from Goldust kind of revamping a little bit, I guess, just because of all this with Bray Wyatt and everything. So I hope they kind of get back to that because I did like the kind of revamped, kind of old school style Goldust that we were getting. But yeah, I definitely want to see Finn back in the Universal title picture. I do like Finn as hard as I am on him because everybody else loves him, and I like to do that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see him back in the title picture. I think he could definitely he definitely deserves it just because of the injury. It wasn't his fault. Uh, and he should be back in the title picture and stuff.
Then we got Dean Ambrose checking on Kurt Hawkins. That poor man. That poor man. First of all, he had to close the Star Factory. And now he just get beats up all the time. And you know, DJ.
This was so freaking funny. Um, Ambrose is coming down the ramp, to fight Braun Strowman, and just his facial expressions, his reactions. to Kurt Hawkins just laying out was really funny. I just really enjoyed it. Ambrose is hilarious, like pretty much 95% of the time, unless he has like a mid card title, and then you know. But
Yeah. Then we got Alexa Bliss talking about her top 8 on MySpace. I was on it. I was on her top 8. I had her on my top 8. It did. It's a fact. It's true. It's true. And talking about how MySpace is about as relevant as Mickey James is now. So, yeah. Okay.
yeah, this definitely cracks me up. Anytime a MySpace joke is made, like I don't know, it just hits home with me for some reason. I mean, I was a really big MySpace user back in my day, back back when I was a boy. I was a really big MySpace user though. I think we all were, and then Facebook was like, ha ha, I'm the same thing, but ha ha, you know. But I thought this was funny. I like this whole segment really. With Alexa and Mickey James. I'm glad that Mickey James is kind of getting back into the fray here, but I don't know. I just don't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. I guess is my issue.
Yeah. And then we got Enzo and the cruiserweights segment, with his kind of heel turn, and then the cruiserweights, revolting and beating him up, and yeah, it wasn't a good night for Enzo. Nah, DJ.
Enzo's promo was funny too, but I think the funniest part about this segment was him describing the cruiserweights, talking about Grand Metalic's little flab. And I think he said Cedric Alexander is the guy with no charisma. Talking about how Rich Swann just danced his way into the. No, it's funny because he was talking about how Rich Swann kind of just danced his way into the title picture, and Rich Swann starts doing the Enzo dance. He was like, "Really?" But I definitely I kind of like this Enzo heel thing, and I mean we'll get to that in a little bit too. But I kind of like it.
And then our final botch/funny moment was Roman Reigns telling the Miztourage to go get him a nice ice cold beer. They didn't. They didn't. I think they should have. I mean, he was on Miz TV, and to be hospitable, they should have, got him that beer. I'm just saying, you do what you need to do for your guests. I'm just saying. Just saying. DJ.
We don't drink beer on Miz TV. I thought this was funny too. I definitely I think Roman is kind of hitting his stride. Another thing we'll talk about in the instant classic moments. But I definitely think he's kind of I'm liking kind of his progression as a character now that they're letting him kind of cut loose a little bit more.
And moving on to the top 5 instant classic moments of the week, hosted by DJ, I guess. We didn't figure this out before we went on air.
All right. So the instant classic moments of the week. We're starting out with the Bullet Club Raw invasion. Pretty much all over social media. I think I first saw it on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Or I saw somebody post a screenshot of Instagram. But the Bullet Club was kind of hanging out outside. They were kind of sitting on the production trucks, or sitting near the production trucks with the production trucks in the background. I do remember that. Kind of the two suits and everything. So that was kind of funny. With them kind of being, near where Raw was. I know Casey, kind of wanted to see more from it, but it was kind of a cool moment. Kind of made you think, what might happen. But Casey, thoughts on the Bullet Club Raw kind of invasion type.
I definitely thought it was cool. You had obviously Cody, the Young Bucks, and that other fella, Hangman Jobber.
Hey, man, Paige, let's go.
Um, they I guess they came up in a limo and kind of basically it was kind of like when DX went to uh, WCW. They were talking about trying to get Cody's name back to being able to call him Cody Rhodes. They were joking about trying to rescue Gallows, Anderson, and Finn. um, and they asked one of the fans, basically about his tickets, and he said he got them free. So they kind of put that out there that WWE is giving away free tickets because of low attendance rates. Um, but it was definitely something cool, kind of like I said, bringing that Attitude Era kind of feel back when DX did the same thing at WCW. But I I wish they did something where WWE made a deal with them at least for one night, so where they did something. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it would have been cool if they did. I mean, basically, they creative invited, obviously without Vince McMahon's approval, so it's not going to happen. But they invited Cody to team with his brother at um, what is it that they're doing? I can't think of the name right now.
Great Balls of Fire. Oh, Hell in a Cell.
No,
No,
the WCW or the WCW
TLC.
one. Oh,
Starcade.
yeah, that I couldn't think of Starcade, but it would have been cool if they did something here. But I knew in the back of my head they weren't gonna do it, but it was just pretty cool to kind of see them at kind of outside the show.
All right, moving on to our next one, which is I don't know the name of the MMA fighter right offhand, but an MMA fighter uses the Boston Crab / Walls of Jericho to win a MMA fight, which was pretty funny. I mean, do you know what happens? You use the Walls of Jericho to win an MMA fight. You want to know what happens? MMA fighter, you just made the list. Sorry, I had to do it. Anyway, I thought it's funny. I laughed. I didn't think I didn't even think it was real. Like that's how like crazy it was. I didn't know you could use the walls of Jericho in the MMA. Like nobody ever does that, which I feel like that would be kind of difficult to do in a fight, like legit though. But anyway, Casey, thoughts on the MMA fighter using the walls of Jericho to win the fight and making the list? Probably made the list more than likely.
Um, I thought it was pretty awesome, but I was like, but how did he get him into Walls of Jericho though? Like I need to watch the whole fight to see how he did that. Like but that's pretty cool that somebody would actually think to use that in an MMA fight. That was pretty awesome. Kudos to him. I'm a fan. I don't know your name, but I'm a fan of you, sir.
You a fan of a guy who you don't know is okay. Uh, let's move on to our next one, which is Roman Reigns' promo during Raw this week, more so on Miz TV. Um, I definitely liked it. I think Roman Reigns. This is probably one of the better Roman Reigns promos. It's not the best Roman Reigns promo we've seen from him. Besides this is my yard now. Still, I mean, still the greatest of all time. But I, I definitely enjoyed it though. I think he's really starting to feel more natural. It's feeling like it's less scripted. It's more less scripted and more of him just kind of being himself, which I think is half the battle. So I'm definitely liking it. And I think we've said it before. If they let Roman Reigns kind of be who Roman Reigns really is instead of his stuff all the crap, then it would definitely be he would definitely be a lot better on the microphone. I mean, I think we've all agreed on this. So, but Casey, any thoughts on Roman Reigns promo for this week?
First of all, knowing is half the battle. Get it right. Um,
What did I say?
it was a joke. GI Joe.
I forgot what I said though. It was the issue. Sorry.
I forgot what you said too. Anyway, you said something about half the battle, and I was like, nah, bro. But yeah, it definitely his promos are getting better, and I don't know if it is because they're scripting it less or if he's just getting more comfortable with it. But it definitely feels like you said, less scripted, which is a good thing. But then again, in WWE, everything is scripted, so it's kind of sometimes it's hard to tell. Even with the good guys, what is scripted and what isn't. Like there's guys you can definitely tell, but I don't know. It just hopefully it's just him getting better. Because I like we said, if you let him be himself, he does good work. If you go back and watch his old you know stuff in FCW, he did some good promos and it felt more like himself. But yeah.
Alrighty, let's move on to. We got two more in the instant classic moments. We got Braun Strowman destroying Kurt Hawkins. He probably won't talk about this one. He probably won't. But it was funny. It was hilarious. I loved it. Braun being Braun. I mean, Braun destroying people is just fun anyway. Um, and then saying bro, like I mean, it's great. But Casey, thoughts on Braun destroying Hawkins? He deserved it. Hashtag he deserved
So what's the next one?
it. We got Enzo's heel turn, um, kind of officially turning heel. Because I think we both questioned this on No Mercy. Was it no? Yeah, No Mercy. Well, I think we both were kind of like, is he gonna turn heel? I felt like it would be, you know, the title run would only be worth it if he turned heel. You felt like he wasn't gonna turn heel at all, but I'm definitely glad that he did turn heel. Because I think it just adds a different wrinkle to it. I loved his heel promo as well. Like I love him. Like, and WWE needs to do this more often. They need to like make sure they hit on the as American Alucard calls it, the keyboard warriors who say that blah 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 can't wrestle, and who tweet all these things, and who are always criticizing the products. Like that's who they need to hit on, because those are the people who are going to be the most vocal, and those are the people who are probably going to help you get trending anyway. So I definitely like him kind of hitting on people saying he can't wrestle, and saying all these things about him. Like I definitely like that, and I think that was like a marquee of a really good heel. I feel like. I mean, also him getting beat up was a cool little moment too. Kind of the cruiserweight roster rallying around that. But Casey, thoughts on Enzo's heel turn before we get into overreaction Friday Sunday?
No, it's Friday. It's Friday. Shut up.
But
Yeah, I didn't think they were gonna actually turn him heel when I first watched it on the pay-per-view, but the more you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, he already has enough heat in backstage anyway. The majority of the roster hates him, so why not turn him heel anyway? A lot of fans are turning on him we're turning on him anyway too. So turn him heel. From Raw, it worked out well. I haven't been able to watch 205 Live yet, but from the beginning of the heel run, it's working out so far. So I definitely am curious to see where they take it.
Alrighty. Moving on to our next segment. Casey, do you want to host this for once?
You know what? You know what? No.
Of course. Anyway, we'll move on. To overreaction Friday on a Sunday, going into a Monday, but still overreaction Friday. All right, let's start with something I say probably far too often. Probably shouldn't say it as often as I do, but I do it anyway. Roman Reigns elevated Braun Strowman. It's not an overreaction, people. He did. He did. And I feel like my second one's actually gonna feel like an oxymoron just because of this first one. But I'll explain. But anyway, Roman Reigns elevated Braun Strowman. I think he did. I think he put all the eyes on Braun Strowman. I think that's the only reason people like Braun Strowman as much as they do because they hate Roman Reigns because he can't wrestle because he came from the Shield and he played football and that means he can't wrestle. Bruh, shut up. Roman Reigns was the guy that everybody wanted anyway, and now you got him and now you mad. That's about right for a wrestling fan. Casey, Roman Reigns elevated Braun Strowman. Overreaction or not an overreaction?
This is an overreaction, and if you think it's true, you're an idiot. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna kind of be neutral on this because I mean, maybe I personally, think he was a main eventer from the point he was a rosebud because he was the best. He stood out. You saw him all the time.
He didn't stand out in the Rosebuds, bro. Simon Gotch didn't stand out in the Rosebuds either.
Bro, yeah, he did. You saw Simon Gotch from the moment those were the two.
That's all because of that doggone mustache. Shut up.
It was kind of hard to miss Braun Strowman, bro. He was the biggest one there.
He's a big dude, but like
he stuck out like a sore thumb. Shut up.
He didn't.
He did.
It's bad. Making excuses. We gonna move on, man. To the next one we got, which is, and this is kind of a overall type thing, because I'll get to it after I say it. Superstar A carried Superstar B in a match. Overreaction or not an overreaction, and I'll explain what this means as I say this is an overreaction. I can't stand when wrestling fans say that blah 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 carried blah 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 in a match because it takes two to tango. Have you ever tangoed with one person? No. I mean, I ain't never tangoed before anyway. Shut up, okay? I don't feel like you can carry someone in a match. That's just me personally. I like to give credit to both of the people in the match. Now, I may have said blah, 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 carry blah, blah, blah before. I think I've said it maybe once, maybe one time, but I try to refrain from saying it because I don't really believe that that's a true statement. And I think it's an overreaction that someone can carry someone in a match. Now, I feel like someone can carry a feud, like Bray Wyatt carried the feud with Undertaker. Don't at me, but he did. But I don't necessarily feel like someone can carry a match because it's still two people in that match. If that's the case, then why don't you just have the other guy just lay down and let's see how far they carry him. It's just me. Casey, Superstar A carried Superstar B in a match. Overreaction or not no reaction?
This I can go both ways too because I would
riding the fans. Pick a side.
It depends.
It's something controversial for once.
This is controversial, though. It depends because there are certain superstars in certain matches where a wrestler does carry the match.
Boo. Boo.
You just matched up
Boo.
right. In
You're not.
general, there's been a lot of matches where either one of the wrestlers just isn't a good wrestler, so the other guy has to carry the match, or they're really green and a rookie and don't know what they're doing, so the other veteran carries the match. I don't think it's an overreaction when people say certain match, and it's not every match. It's not all the matches that they say they are. There are some matches where people say, "Oh, so and so carried this match," and it's not necessarily true. But there are matches where certain superstars or certain wrestlers carry the match. So, in general, it's not an overreaction.
Boo. All right. My number 3 is AAA is a mainstream wrestling company. Overreaction. I'm sorry. I apologize to anybody that lives in Mexico, but I don't. Okay? And that don't necessarily mean that I wouldn't classify New Japan, because I know the first thing that someone's gonna ask me, oh well, would you classify New Japan Pro Wrestling as a mainstream? I would, but that's because I can get it on TV every week, bruh. If you ain't on my TV, you're not mainstream to me. Like I wouldn't necessarily even say that Canadian football is mainstream football. I enjoy it, but I can't see it every week. So same concept. No, AAA is not a mainstream wrestling company in my eyes. I'm sorry. I apologize to every AAA fan. I really don't. I don't care. I don't at all. And I don't. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even. I don't even know their history like that. Casey, AAA is a mainstream wrestling company.
Okay. Before I answer this one, I got 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, what if people don't have cable and can't get WWE? Does that mean that that's not mainstream?
Oh, it's possible.
Okay. Do you consider Impact mainstream?
Yes.
Not everybody can get that on their TV.
What? What? I
Oh,
mean, but
I just got you.
but you can. But I guess this is my thing. You can consistently watch Impact.
You can
You can
consistently.
consistently watch WWE, but I wouldn't necessarily say you can consistently watch AAA. If you can, please send me a link.
It's just like Impact. If you can get the channel, you can watch it. Or if you can find a website that streams it, you can watch it.
But I wouldn't necessarily say you can consistently watch AAA.
You can. If you can get the right channel on your cable, or
Bruh, AAA ain't on my cable.
bruh, you're not listening to what I'm saying. If you can get it on your cable, or if you can find a provider that has it, you can
But
watch
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. AAA is not going to be on my cable because it's a Mexican promotion.
exactly. And TNA is not going to be on certain people's cable because it's not a mainstream promotion, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to say overreaction because it is a mainstream.
Well, if that's the case, then if that's the argument we're going off of, which is probably my argument in the first place, then shoot, friggin' mom pops wrestling federation over here, over in the corner of the woods over here, could be a mainstream promotion if it comes on my local channel, right?
No, because it has to be big enough.
No. You just said as long as I can watch it is what you just told me. As long as I can, as long as I got the cable provider that'll allow me to watch it, then mom pop federation.
But what you're talking about when you talk about mainstream, what you're talking about is non-indie. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, and TNA is not an indie. WWE is not an indie. AAA is not an indie. there's certain things you have to not be an indie promotion. Even technically,
what is that? What are these certain things?
it depends on the fan base. It depends on the views that you get.
So would you say that Ring of Honor is an indie?
It's not. It's technically not an indie.
I would say it's an indie.
It's not. If you look it up, it's technically not an indie anymore. Since 2011, it has not been an independent promotion anymore.
What's the technical definition of an independent promotion, though? Is it like crowd size, or is it like?
No, it has to do with the promotion, like the promoter who owns it.
So like he declares that it's not an indie?
If a big enough company owns it, like Sinclair Broadcasting owns it, so they can broadcast it wherever they broadcast. So technically, it's not an independent promotion anymore because it's owned by a major company.
I beg to differ. Anyway, moving on.
I mean, you could beg to differ, but it's true.
I beg to differ.
You can beg to differ that the sky ain't blue, but if you go outside, you're gonna see.
If you go outside and it's cloudy, it's gray. Anyway, was I wrong? Was I wrong about that though? Like, it's anyway.
I mean, but if you look beyond the clouds,
you can't look beyond what you see in the sky. Like, that's not how it works.
in an airplane, you can see this man.
That's like saying if you look down at the grass and it's green, but if you look beyond the grass, I bet you it's brown because of the dirt. That's not how
the clouds are in front of the sky. That's how that works.
Well, but it's still cloudy and it makes the sky look gray. I'm not wrong. Like you trying, like you really are, and I appreciate it. I do. But
you just making ridiculous arguments.
It's a good argument. Our next one is the women's division. I'm gonna just narrow this down to the women's division in WWE is the best women's division we've seen. I really don't know about this one for once. Casey, I'm gonna go with you first.
I mean, yes and no. Like the star power that they have at their disposal, or that they have, it could be.
Yes and no. It's bad.
But WWE doesn't always use them well. So like, you could have like, for example, you know, if you have a Madden 2K or Madden 18, you could have the best team on the entire game. But if you use it terribly, you could still suck. WWE has some of the best women's talent in the world that they could use, but they don't always use them well. So it's hard. DJ, I don't know. This one I'm just gonna say I don't know.
It is a hard one. I'm gonna go with this as an overreaction because I'm gonna say that personally I liked the original TNA Knockouts division better. I think there was. I think this one has more talent and more potential just because there's more to it. But I want to see that through first. I would say I want to see that through first in a consistent manner. Whereas we've seen it with TNA where it was consistent. Anyway, last one for Overreaction Friday before we get to next week's hype broski. The cruiserweights have no personality. I'm gonna say this is an overreaction. I think they have personality. I think that the personality is not always showcased. Like, I mean, I love Drew Gulak's gimmick, kind of the no-fly zone thing. With it, I mean, and that's personality. Um, a guy that everybody calls bland, and T.J. Perkins has a lot of personality, and I think he does what his character is very well, especially when dealing with Rich Swann and kind of the frenemies type thing. Neville obviously has personality. Enzo obviously has personality. There are guys who are kind of a little bit more generic, I guess. Uh, there's no real like substance to it. Like Cedric Alexander is one that comes to mind. Grand Metalik is one that comes to mind. That's just kind of there, I guess. But I would definitely, I say the cruiserweights. I say certain cruiserweights have personality. I wouldn't say the entire cruiserweight division has no personality. Casey, the cruiserweights have no personality. Overreaction, not an overreaction.
Overreaction. Jack Gallagher, Neville, Noam Dar, Rich Swann, TJ.
No, Gnome. Sorry, no, it's Gnome.
Sorry,
Pronounce
Noam Dar. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone on the 205 Live roster, honestly, if you use them right, they have personality. Even guys like Grand Metalik or a Lindsay Dorado. I think Lindsay actually speaks English, but I don't know about Grand Metalik. They can still have personality without even being able to speak the language. Look at somebody like La Parca back in WCW and over in Mexico. He had a huge personality, even if he didn't speak or even if he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's how WWE is booking them is what's killing them. It's not them because they have all the talent, they have personality. It's just WWE's not doing anything with them.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna get you to tell the people what next week's weekly booking challenge is. We're gonna skip it for this week and come back to you guys next week with a booking challenge of the week.
Yeah, we having a little weekly booking challenge hiatus, if you will. But next week we will be booking a wrestler from one promotion to another. So, for example, if one of your favorite wrestlers was released from WWE, how would you book them to another promotion, booking them into a storyline in that promotion? So, let's say if, you know, Jack Gallagher for some reason was let go from WWE and then like Impact signs him, for example, how would I book him into a storyline on Impact? So I think that's something that's going to be pretty interesting to what we come up with. But we'll do that next week on the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast's weekly booking challenge.
Speaking of next week, hype for bro. That work? I think it kind of worked. Casey, tell us what we're hyped for.
Well,
Bro.
I will tell you what we're hyped for, bro. We are hyped for the Hell in a Cell build-up because it's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be probably not as good as we expect it to be because at the end of the day, it's a WWE pay-per-view. But we're excited. We're also excited for the Cruiserweights and Enzo storylines and whatever they do with that. Also, kind of on that note, we're excited for Enzo's heel build-up. DJ, thoughts on these three things?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm excited going into Hell in a Cell. I really like the No Mercy personally. So I'm definitely excited for Hell in a Cell, it being kind of more of a gimmicky type pay-per-view with more gimmicky matches. Especially seeing kind of what I think I'm always excited to see what Kevin Owens says next because he's freaking hitting it out of the park with his promos right now as well. The cruiserweight development with Enzo, I'm definitely excited about that to see what they do with that. I probably need to watch 205 Live to really see it, but I'm gonna try my best. And Enzo's heel development as well. I definitely like loving Enzo as a heel. I think he's doing a good job with it, so I'm excited. But anyway, I guess that'll do it for your episode 8 of the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. We'll see you guys next week, sometime next weekend for the show once again. Be sure to give us a like, hit that subscribe button for us. Follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. Also, like the Facebook page as well. The link should be in the description. But other than that, we hope you guys enjoyed it as usual. Be sure to share the video as well. We will see you guys next time on the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I feel like I ain't said this in a long time, and I mean always, an Instant Classic.